chef. I am here waiting on the doc to come in. We are we're happy that you are going to be tuning into a great show. I'm sure of it. The doc said 1 minute. I'll be there in 1 minute. I think he's been longer than a minute. I've been live 10 minutes. What's up, y'all? How we doing over here? Is this inside of a high-rise building? Yes. This is inside of a high-rise building. We're in Dr. Surgeon's house, or his hallway. It's almost 6,000 per month. Hey! Parking is not 200. Parking is 500? Waiting on Dr. Surgeon. He said he will be here in a minute. Yo, yo.
What's going on?
What's up, man?
Hello? How you feeling? What's going on?
You know, I'm happy, man. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. You said 1 minute. It's been 11, but you know, don't make that. Nobody counting like that.
Yeah.
All right. Let me not expose the whole house. All right, all right, all right. Premium Black News. At it again. You want to be over here?
Yeah. How you feeling?
I was like, I should have called you and told you I'm gonna, I'm pulling up instead of just coming straight up. It would have been better, but what they call that, hindsight is 20/20. You already know. I was in the hallway practicing my dance moves. That's not true. I wasn't practicing any dance moves. I was just literally in the hallway dancing. Kind of loosening up, get rid of that stiff back.
Working on the joints?
Oiling up the joints. You know what I mean? Like the Scarecrow did. Yo, do you have a brush in here? A hair brush? Beard brush? Let me borrow that for a second.
That's it. Guys, a small joint?
Any joint. I don't care. It'll work.
Yeah, this right here.
Okay. Thank you.
Kits.
I'm looking a little crazy. I've been out, dude. I've been out of my house since noon.
Since this afternoon.
Since this afternoon. Getting it pound. My phone rings. I get motivated. When
Alright.
people need me, I'm coming. No diddy.
Felt needed today?
Well, it was good. I monetized my day.
Alright.
But all my monetization goes to paying a bill. It's ridiculous. Like,
That's everybody's life. At this
it's
point.
like we're working to pay bills.
I was talking with somebody earlier today. If you're making between $50,000 and $400,000, your life is almost check to check.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you. I believe you. And then we have not only do we have like rents and cars and insurances, we got storages.
Yeah.
We have Wi-Fi's. We have like the new iPhone. You're supposed to be like right now I'm spending $180 for 3 lines. If I was to upgrade my phone, just one more phone up, it would be something like $240, $230. I was like, what? No. I couldn't believe it. It's a no because this
My
phone
numbers
is a
are
high.
crazy. My numbers are crazy, and I have 3 lines. I got the boys on there.
You got your
And-
sons on your
Right.
line, right?
Yeah. Now, what do I want to say that number is? It's high. It's like, matter of fact, I think it's high twos.
High twos.
High twos.
So you're talking about like 260 you paying?
No, it's like I wanna say
280.
close to like 290 and change. Like
Oh, they got the new. What they have? The new iPhones though. They have the
They got
16s or the
iPhones and
15s
stuff
or something like that. What they
That's
got?
also connected with that tower for for the internet. And
I don't know about the tower.
It's like a mobile tower. You can go around with it anywhere, whether you have it at home or you go somewhere. You plug it up, it gets the signal.
Something like the Elon Musk, that satellite that Elon Musk
it's
had.
something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Is it through
either-
T-Mobile?
It is. So
I've
it's,
seen that
so
device.
it's like $50 extra, but so that put it close to like $300. But I was talking with. It forces you, you make a certain amount. I think you get a little complacent, and say like for example, you got the money, you make the money, so you have to get something, you go and get it. But I think
Come on, let's come here. Come to the
I'm about to
people.
get some. I'm about to get some.
Okay.
Person I know, she have like 4 lines. Her kids, and
And
so on
you
and
got
so
the
forth.
good. This is the bounty.
Yeah,
You got the good stuff.
She got 4 lines, but she pays like about $100. But she have Boost Mobile.
Yeah, but what kind of internet service you gonna have with that?
I don't know, but guess what? She's doing everything I'm doing. Everybody's still in contact.
But you
I
probably
speak
ain't
to-
watching a lot of YouTube and Netflix on your phone and all that, right?
I'm not sure. I mean, what I'm trying to say is like,
There's another way.
there's another way, My way your way has cost us 200 and change every month. But
But somebody might say, you're a doctor, you got it.
see, but that's the whole thing. But guess what?
Are you sick of that? Are you sick of people thinking you're a doctor and you got it?
Nah, because because it doesn't match up. You talk about there was a point in time when a cell phone was the successful businessman. That's who had it.
Right,
He was
at one
that
time. Right.
Yeah. But now, if you are an immigrant and you come in and you have no resources whatsoever, they're going to give you a cell phone.
Oh, yeah,
But
because
meanwhile-
how you gonna get the signal that wipes us all out if you ain't got a cell phone?
Right. So that is absolutely occurring.
Boom. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Big Elvis the chef. I am here with Dr. Surgeon. You saw me dancing in the hallway for a good 8 minutes. I wasn't even out of breath. That was good because I ain't really drop it down like it's, I ain't really get low with it. You know what I mean? I ain't did the stinky leg and all that stuff. I ain't drop it like it's hot or nothing like that. This thing might be too tall. We need your, where's your,
Where's you know what? Let me see. I think it's right. But this is a nice set. This is pretty.
this is what I use
Real
when I do
sturdy.
my, this is what I use when I do my, my street interviews. I use this bad
is-
boy. Real strong. Yeah, this is no joke. And then it has this thing in the middle here where you can put a weight. Look, I can add a weight to this so that it can put a little sandbag there so that it can hold it from the wind blowing it and all that kind of stuff. So,
Well, I
yeah.
can tell. This is a real quality thing. So you are putting back into your viewers, making sure you're giving them the best
Right.
the best of the best.
Yeah. This at the time. This was pretty good. I went to B&H on 34th Street. You know the B&H. B&H.
Electronic?
Yeah, electronic spot where all the Hasidic Jews are. So I went there and I got this tripod. And at the time this was like pretty top of the line. So what we'll do here is we will move this. Here, and then move this here. Yo, that wind is whipping, dude.
No, it's especially over here. You know, it's nothing else. You know, you got that thing going.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
We're talking about even when you got out.
when I got out of the car, I was a block away, and I got back in the car and I illegally parked. That wind was whipping like that. I said, I'm gonna illegally park. All right, so I parked right. I parked right downstairs, right in front of your joint. But the cops don't. You ever got a ticket for being parked in the front?
They'll get you every now and then, but it's not a common thing.
Yeah, they come on. All the rent you people are paying in this place, they should leave y'all alone.
They should give us a spot.
Right. They should be like, give you like some sort of like sticker you can apply for. Oh, the question is, what is the average monthly for the parking here?
It's $350.
$350. That's actually much more affordable than it is in Manhattan. $350.
Yeah.
And how many times could you get the car in a day?
Why not? It's endless, you know. But it becomes more and more of a pain because it's like valet. So they park it for you and they get it for you. So unless you're calling 10 minutes ahead of time to make sure it's down there by the time you get there, you're gonna be waiting. So that could be
Right. That's what I would do every day. I would call up, be like, I'm on my way. I'll be there in 30 minutes or whatever, you know?
I mean, I guess, I think after a while, everybody kind of want to do that, but it always kind of falls through the crack. And then
Right.
it end up not happening.
And then do you tip them?
No.
Just wait for Christmas and give them a card, right?
Yeah.
A couple of lotto tickets and $20.
You know,
Or $50. You might have to do $50.
you might give them a dollar in the dream. Hey, you know.
Right. When the last Christmas, what did you tip out to the people? What was your tip like? And who did you tip?
Well, no, I tip the doorman and maintenance.
How many doormen?
So, talking about like maybe about 4 or so.
4 doormen?
4 doormen, about 3 seats.
Like
All in
two-
all, it's about 12 people.
All in all, 12 people. Did
Yeah.
you do one big thing or was it individual cards?
It's an individual. Yeah.
Individual cards. Did you write their names on the cards?
Yeah.
Look at you. You got to know their names
Yeah.
and write their names on the card? I would have never guessed that. I say that respectfully, Doc. But you're a busy guy. Yeah. Well,
It's those little touches.
there's no little touches. Right.
Matter of fact, at work, pretty much did the same thing, but everybody had like an individualized type of, message to them.
Oh, that
So
was really nice.
what was a little bit different is that, I made mention of, slight things that just happened throughout the year specific to them. So it kind of caught them off guard because like, oh, I didn't really notice that you even noticed all that. So that kind of brings somebody back like, oh,
And how many staff do you have at the office?
we have about, all in all, about 25.
And you did 25 individual joints?
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm
let
sure
me
that
look.
was light. That was lighter than here.
Yeah,
The doorman
yeah.
and all that. Doorman where you live gets a little more than the girl at the register. Not register, but at the computer. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
No, I mean, the thing about it is, they're more tied to what I'm doing over there than over here. I mean, they're just, although everybody didn't get everything, the same thing.
Right,
So,
right.
The main door person that I see all the time that normally get my stuff, of course, they got a little bit more than everybody else.
Nice,
So,
nice. Yeah, you gotta let people know you appreciate them.
yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that at the building that I was in for all those years, 10, 15 years. And we would hit every maintenance man off. I never knew their names though. But every maintenance man got a card. Inside of the card, it was 5 lotto tickets. There was $4 tickets and 1 win for life, plus $10. That was the maintenance man. And then the doormen, which they really weren't doormen, they were like security. They would have to buzz you in.
Right.
So they weren't really doormen. But and there were always at least 6 of them. And we would give those guys $20 plus the 5 lotto tickets and all that kind of
Now,
stuff.
were they expecting that, or was that something that was common for them?
No, it
or-
wasn't very common. They used to get gifts and cards occasionally, but if one person would give 1 or 2 people,
Okay.
we was hitting everybody off.
Right, okay.
And every year that we did this for like 10 years. Every year we did this, somebody would always stop us and say, "Yo, I won!
Really?
I made $100. I made $50." It was like everybody, and then all the maintenance men would always tell the other maintenance man of the other 3 buildings, because
Right.
it's 4 buildings,
Right.
and they would always, like, brag about us,
Right.
so they always showed us a lot of love for that.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I like that. But at work, when I was in the bar business, I used to always hit people off with gifts. I was very thoughtful and considerate and all that kind of stuff, during that time of year.
Well, in a capitalistic world, the quickest way for somebody to think they're appreciated is by, giving them something like that.
Right.
Something of value. Something.
Do you have any more light? You're in the darkness. Darkness?
You
Yeah, you're looking like Blade over here.
Yeah.
You're looking like a day walker.
Should we light it up with this?
Yeah,
but I think that might
overhead light. Let's see what that does. A little more light.
I think it might flush us out.
Oh no, that's cool.
Yeah.
And does that have a dimmer or no?
No dimmer.
No dimmer. You can probably install a dimmer.
Probably.
And the dimmer for this light is gonna cost you $89. That's all the dimmers I had in my house were all like $100 dimmers.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it's best because you don't want to mess up, the lighting or whatever. But this is cool lighting. All right, so Donald Trump wins the. Donald Trump wins the vote.
Well, you know what? I think this. This thing must be Democrat.
The stand that we're on. Oh, the stand. Yeah, that was good. That was funny. That was good. That was good. This stand is the Democratic stand. What do you say about the people that are afraid still to tell people that they voted for this guy? Because let me tell you, more people voted for him than they're admitting to. Let's just make that. More people. Wait a minute, what's going on here? How do you tighten this up? This turns? No.
Is it loose?
Yeah, this is pretty loose. Let me see if maybe we can
If it falls on me.
see, this phone is super heavy.
Well, I mean, surely it's gonna make that.
All
fall.
phones are pretty heavy though.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
So you gotta come just a little bit closer.
All right.
Dr. Shaw, I like the glasses. Are those gazelles? What are
Yeah.
those? Those are kind of fancy, man. They look nice. I like
Thank
it.
you.
I was gonna wear my shades too, but
Yeah.
here I am without the shades. Here for the people. Come on, forget about it. So, what say you about all these people that voted for this man, Trump? Because let's not play the game that you didn't vote for Trump. Let's not play that game. The numbers are out.
We know.
You voted for Trump. Let's not play that game. I mean, we're talking about this dude. I think the last person to do this good was Reagan.
He did better than Reagan.
Better than Reagan. Like, whoa, dude, you smashed the election. What say you, like, when you're at, all right, so you went to work this week, correct? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yep.
What was the feeling, and you working with all these liberals, no? Are they liberals or are they just hardworking, like West Indians and...
Well,
I'm not trying to say the medical field is full of West Indians, but,
There's was it discussed? No, not really. It didn't really come up, but majority are liberals.
Liberals, right?
And
But are they really liberals in the medical field? Or is it just the people that own the damn building that's liberals? Are the workers there really liberals? These hardworking black people, are they liberals? They beating their kids.
You know what the thing is? I think this whole thing came along and people were so pitched to one end of the tent or the other that to the folks that vote for Trump, I guess they kind of don't want to say that they did. I don't know why. And the folks that didn't, they're kind of quiet because a lot of stuff that was happening to Trump, folks look at it objectively, they could say, there was some efforts that went beyond, beyond what would kind of make sense, drumming up stuff to just get him.
Right.
So
So you say some of the people that would normally go for Kamala, they saw all of the underhandedness
Right.
involved in voting for this person.
right, and even if you bound yourself to it, I mean, there's a level of guilt that's there, a level of shame that's there, and then
People are ashamed.
you know, and it's an emotional, you know, it's if you got emotionally tied into that, then you have all that vitriol towards him. You're trying to convince everybody else that's the way it is, and when you figure it out, you know, wow, it's not that he just won all the swing states, and then won the popular vote. You know, got most, you know, blacks that voted.
Black
then
men,
black men,
80% of black men voted for Trump.
You know,
My God.
then and then you in all these different categories, Latinos, you know, women. The only demographic that he didn't win, you know, outright versus other Republican candidates was the black women. You know,
Oh, he didn't win black women.
no,
Black women were stuck that this was a black woman.
yeah,
They were like, this is a black woman.
no,
She has the hair I always wanted.
you know. So, and the thing about it is, there's a lot of folks that I'm close to who are staunch liberals, and they bought completely into the narrative that the left was spinning, and to get into a conversation wasn't even worth it, you know, because they were so emotionally invested in the plight, you know. They were really sold on it, and I think that's the reason why the idea of it being objective and who's actually going to make things work then come into play. And it got to a point of just repeating the things that they heard from the left. Anything that was negative, it was immediately ranked as true.
Right.
So
I experienced that with my family as well. Like, whoa, you really believe that?
so things
Couldn't
from
believe it.
you know, the racist thing have really stuck.
Right.
The, you know, the tyrant thing have really stuck, and he's going to be a fascist. He's going to be all this. He's going to do all these things. The only thing that goes against that was the fact that this guy was actually in office for 4 years.
Right.
He didn't, those things didn't happen. So,
None of that happened.
but we do have, but a lot of folks, I'm not sure if they're not saying it. I mean, you know, you've been made to feel, even now, folks are being shamed, you know, for actually going that route. I don't know if you caught The View.
Yo, I
They've had a
caught
couple of
some
meltdowns.
of the view. Yeah, meltdowns for real, man.
And they're
Like-
going at each other. And this is what happens. So now these are strangers, but this is what happens in families. And this is what happens with close folks because they're so emotionally invested in this situation. And some are so emotionally invested. If you looked at that, you know, some of those clips with the View, so emotionally invested that the idea of making sense is completely off. So this woman is on there, and she really wants to almost blame America. That America is, you know, just don't get it, and you know, why did more than half of the electorate, you know, go a certain direction? You know, so
I mean, why did the country do this?
You know?
They just think that the country just failed.
right,
Like, yo, if you know what I was saying when this whole thing started, I was like, I was one of those people that was like, listen, there's possible that Joe Biden, you know, because he didn't campaign. Joe Biden just was able to
Not at all.
get, he was able to just get all these votes, and then they were showing all these people like covering up the windows with paper and all the ballots that were coming in. It was just like,
suspect.
I was like, they're gonna, you know what? Why would I vote if they're just gonna steal the election whenever they get good and ready? But what this has shown us is that the reason why they were able to make the moves they made, the alleged moves that they made, was because of the pandemic and the lockdown. The lockdown gave them so much room to move around.
Cover.
It was crazy cover. So without that cover and the people showed up, they showed up and showed out for this man. And I was thinking about that. I was like, we have Hillary Clinton, because you and I were talking about Hillary Clinton and how she took it from Bernie. And Bernie was beating Hillary Clinton hands down, knocking her, everywhere he went. He just like, the people were just loving Bernie Sanders. And he had like, the millennials were like, I don't want to pay for this student loan anymore. That's when they had that whole Occupy Wall Street was popping and all that kind of stuff. After corporations and all this, stuff was going on. And Bernie Sanders was like really buying into that stuff. So the reason why you saw that is because I had changed my oil the other day and I had this watch on. So the oil must have got into the little cracks of the watch. It got all over my wrist. So I'm over here like scrubbing my wrist because I looked down. I haven't wore this watch in over a week. And the last time I wore this watch, I changed the oil. So changed my car oil with a very, very nice watch. It's crazy, Liz. But I think I got 80% of the oil. I just don't want you to think it's the band messing with me. But anyway, so Bernie Sanders was like locked in, and then Hillary Clinton came, and then people didn't vote for her. And I was thinking, man, we got this white woman, Hillary Clinton, who's been putting it down. Husband was a president. I mean, obviously, this woman is capable of being a president. Just the fact that her husband was president and that she had pushed him in this direction from early on, and they didn't vote for her. So I was thinking, if you're not going to vote for this white woman, there's no way you're going to vote for Kamala. But unless you make those flim-flam moves, then you can do it. So my whole mindset was that if Kamala wins, they just made the move again because there's no way they're going to vote for her. And I was right. Nobody voted for her. I mean, New York and California and Vermont and New Hampshire, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Connecticut.
The blue states went blue.
Yeah, the blue states went blue. But let's look at the numbers, though, it probably will blow your mind how close those numbers were. Probably crazy. And then a lot of people didn't vote in the blue states because they just knew that this electoral, this college, what they call that, the electoral college, is just it's a joke. What the hell, man? You're telling me I can go out there and vote? We can actually outnumber the vote, and then it'll still go to the other person? Like, I don't like that concept. That concept. I remember they were trying to explain it to me in school, and I still was like, I don't know. This don't sound right. You're telling me that if 50 of us say we don't want this person here, and 10 of y'all say yes, that person could get in because our 50 votes only apply for 5, and they had 10, and like, nah, that just seems wrong, Like, it's supposed to be where this huge group of people cannot control the way, what's that called? Like the moral compass of the country. America is a capitalistic business. Capitalism runs America, and everybody's eating fast food. So why are we pretending like there's some sort of morality that's necessary in the voting process, that they have to sway the votes to lean this way and lean down, like the swing states? Didn't he win all the swing states?
He won all the swing
Georgia,
states.
he crushed it in Georgia, I heard. Crushed it, like, damn, Trump crushed it. And it didn't help that the vice president wasn't over there where all those hurricanes hit. In North Carolina, do you know how many missing persons are in North Carolina? See, North Carolina, where they had that river was aligned with all these trailers and tents. There was a huge 1,000 person homeless community there, and they just all disappeared. All the homeless people that were there disappeared because they were so deep inland. No one would think that a hurricane would be able to make it that deep into the land and that high because they were up in the mountains. So all those rivers and waters were coming down, liquid was coming down from the mountains. This wasn't like a river adjacent to some sort of shore. So people was like homeless, living on the side of this mountain, just like, we good. It's just gonna be a lot of rain. But they say that the eye of the hurricane made its way all the way to that section of North Carolina.
Where these people were at?
Where these people were at, the eye of the storm even made it there. It wasn't the edge of the storm or anything. So this is like super horrific storms that she never even went over there, man. It's like, come on. You just can't go to swing states and just do all your talking. Which I saw somebody break down. They went to Harlem and they were breaking down her speeches. And they were like, this is what Kamala said. And it was just so gibberish. It was mumble jumble. So, what are we in for? Is Donald Trump took away bump stocks. You know about that? Donald Trump also is in favor for red flag laws. Red flag laws and taking away your bump stock is basically you have the ATF. And the ATF was saying, we need to pass these laws. The ATF was like, the hell with Congress. The hell with going through the way of passing laws through Congress. We're the ATF. We know what's best for the country. These weapons, they don't need these weapons. We want to pass these laws. Donald Trump said, all right. And that was around the time they had that shooting in Vegas where the guy was in the hotel room shooting at the crowd that was partying for like some sort of like country concert. And right around that same time, they have the red flag laws. And these red flag laws are basically, I can pick up the phone and call on any neighbor I have. And I can say, listen, man, I got a neighbor over here. I don't trust him. He seems like he's not got all his wits together. I say good morning to this person. They wouldn't say good morning back to me, or whatever they conjure up in their minds. The police now will get a SWAT team together. And this SWAT team will go to your home. They do, I believe, have to knock. They just don't bust on your door. They knock on your door and they tell you, we did an indictment on you. You've been indicted, a secret indictment, and here's your court date. Until this court date happens, we're going to seize all your weapons. Because of a phone call made by a neighbor. Donald Trump is okay with that. No. So what are we in for here? Are we just falling for the flim-flam? And when I say we, I'm talking about the country. I'm talking about the voting people. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying me. I'm not necessarily even saying you watching. I'm saying, have we fallen for the flim-flam?
My take on it have always been, we may be being played, and that we are the guests in this drama that we're watching that's kind of like unfolding, and all these folks are on this platform that we get to see, and whether it's the left and the right, we still gonna get pulled in the same direction. Now the thing is, there are some things that we don't want that's being pushed by the left. They want to push the whole where your child can decide that they're trapped in the wrong body and they can go ahead and get surgeries despite parents' objections and all those type of things. Your child being educated about gender identity, while they're still trying to figure out how to change their drawers and socks on a regular basis. So these are the same kids that can't drink, can't drive, but they can go ahead but could go ahead and make a life-altering decision, with no recourse and no input from the parents. So the left is pushing that agenda, and something that most folks don't agree with.
And it's women that are pushing it.
And the question is, how would that benefit us at all? But this is something that's there, and there's many other things that we probably could disagree with as far as that's concerned. But there are also things on the right side that folks could say, that people don't really care for. So when you do win, if you're on the left, you'll say, yeah, you won. But then your leadership, quote unquote, will push some things through that you really don't care for. And the same thing with the right, because one of the things that the right have always stood for was the right to bear arms and to protect yourself specifically against an intrusive regime or government. So, and with that in mind, forget bump stock and everything like that. You should be free to have the most, powerful armament that you can have at your disposal, because in essence, you should be able to combat and push back the government if it gets too crazy.
Right.
So if they have you with slingshots and they still carry cannons, like what's the point? You might as well don't have anything at all. So
Slingshots are pretty effective, though.
yeah, well,
All I'm saying is just that even if you don't have anything, a slingshot. I've seen some slingshots on the internet that go through 4 watermelons.
well, that's pretty good. I mean, but I'd still rather use the cannon.
Right, of course, right. Or the AR.
Right.
Yeah, let me get that AR with the bump stock, please.
But the fact that and these are the things that we don't know about. So, for example, where the left is supposed to be the party of inclusion and bring everybody in, we're not going to deport nobody, and so on and so forth. We learned, afterwards that Obama was the biggest deportator out of all the presidents up to that point.
As far as kicking people out of the country.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Obama's administration was kicking people out busloads, truckloads.
And it's not something that we heard about. Now you just mentioned this. Signing a ban against bump stock is not something that you'd expect from Trump.
Right.
But this underbelly thing is coming across that he's doing these things. And
he did it while president. He did
right.
it. While president, he did that.
So these are things that we wouldn't expect it, but it would be buried inside some legislation that they signed, and then it becomes new law without us even really knowing.
Right.
So it's weird. One of the things that's kind of like exciting that he is doing, that I really would like to see how that kind of like turn out, is the pick of JFK Jr.
Right. Everyone is saying that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of his stuff. It's hard for me to listen to his stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the whole thing with the bear in Central Park, I don't get what that was about. Did you hear about the bear in Central Park?
Bear in Central Park?
Yeah, he ran over a bear, and he was on his way to like some sort of dinner. So he takes the bear, black bear, dead black bear, throws it in the trunk of his car. Goes to the dinner. Then he needed the room, so he dumps the bear in Central Park.
Mm-hmm. Well,
this is crazy.
When this happened? This
he
is
told
a real
this
thing?
story like a year ago.
Oh, he told the story. Okay.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. I'm what's the word? I'm not ad-libbing. I am I don't know.
But one of the things about JFK Jr., he have a long footprint of kind of like what he stands for, and his footprint, it spans longer than both Trump and Kamala. So
right.
And what's interesting is that the left would not do that type of extension to him. The left has kind of like pretty much shunned him, and the question is why. And if
very few people know about him.
Yeah.
They hear the name. They think about the highway that they were on. Mm-hmm. They think about the airport. They think about, but there's a man out there. Mm-hmm. He's very, very healthy, very good shape. He always liked to show off his abs, and he's in his 50s, right?
Mm-hmm. JFK Jr.
Yeah, how old?
I thought he's older than that.
He's old. Well, he looks really good. He's in really good shape. He takes care of himself.
I would say he's probably upper 60s, maybe.
I don't know.
I was curious to find out.
Well, I think whatever he is, he looks 10 years younger, in my mind. And I can't get past the voice. The voice when he talks like that, it just.
I wonder what happened to him. So.
What did they say?
No, so we're looking at the original King JFK Jr.
No, we're looking at the new one. The new one.
So how you separate him?
Is it RFK? What is his name? You can just go to Google and say, what JFK am I thinking about? Maybe the chat will help us, because we have I haven't even been looking at the chat. Hey, Steve Ladner, how are you? LJ, how are you? Is that Cheryl Doe? How are you?
You all right?
Steve
It's
Ladner.
RFK.
RFK, yeah, RFK. Yeah, he's 67. Then somebody said 69.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for that. Robert Kennedy Jr.
Right.
Yeah, his father was killed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, his father was killed.
No, that whole family had a whole lot of things going on. So
He looks great for his age. I just can't get past that voice. The voice is so hard to hear. But yo, the guy, he's talking he's talking that FDA stuff.
no, he talks like
He's talking about like, yo, we are in America fat, and we need to stop this shit. We're the fattest country in the world. I can't, you know, I don't want to do his voice,
but you know what? He
I heard
makes
a few
sense.
things he said. I was super impressed, man. I was like, whoa.
No, what he reminds you
Wait,
of.
somebody said sorry, 70. Yeah.
I mean,
Look at my dad. My dad is 71, and he's in super good shape.
He reminds you of a Green Party candidate, where when they talk, it's something that you could see the public getting behind that kind of like makes sense. That's
Let me just push back. The reason why I think you're saying Green Party candidate is because he says the stuff that nobody else is saying,
right.
and you go like, whoa, what?
So who we have? We have the Green Party. Green Party. What's the other party that they have? But
Tea Party?
No, not that. But these guys that don't normally, those third party candidates that don't normally get the light of day, and they make a lot of sense, but for some reason they don't want to give them the airtime. So
That's
it comes
called
across
mainstream
like that.
media.
And that's what happened to RFK Jr. himself also. Because he was making a lot of good points, but they just wasn't giving him the airtime. And I think he had the numbers to actually be in the debate, but they still ain't put him in there. And
You're right about that. I
Yeah.
do know that
So-
he was able to really be a contender, but they were like, nah, we're going Kamala.
Right.
Oh no, they were going that Joe wasn't gonna get out of it. Joe's still in it.
Right.
So it was one of those things, like there's no primary because Joe, he's in it. And then out of nowhere, Joe just was out of it. And then did you see the thing with Joe Biden? He's like the height? Like there's like two Joe Bidens out there.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yo, it's like
I don't know what's going
this
on with
dude
that.
standing next to his wife
Right.
on Tuesday is taller than her. But on Thursday, this dude is shorter than her. What the hell's going on here? Let's believe our eyes that there's massive technology out here. This dude, Joe Biden, he's looking so damn good. I mean, you look at Joe Biden today, he's looking good. I'm like, damn, Joe, you're looking good. What happened like a month ago? You was looking crazy. So I don't know what's going on with that.
So
The technology is available to have a lot of things going on at the same time.
now he recently, Trump recently made some declaration of some of the first things that he plans to do, and I think I had a list of that, but he immediately went to stopping all of the schools' attempt to classify your child as the gender identity. All those educational stuff is supposed to stop. He actually
If that's true, that's beautiful, man.
he actually went a step further to talk about allowing the folks to sue doctors who have given them the hormones and things like that, because
man, and they're not even doctors. These are just like social workers. And
So
wait a minute, you know more than this than everybody else. Who the hell is giving these kids in the school a shot?
no, so they have to go to a doctor so they can get the hormone shot. The hormone
So it's not
blockers.
happening in school by the nurse.
No.
But who's taking the kids over to the doctor?
So this is where the propaganda comes in, because if the kids they have to be taken by somebody, probably the parents, but at the same time they're saying that the kid could decide to want to do that without the parents' knowledge. So I don't know whether or not that's really happening out there, but they're putting that out there in the atmosphere as these are things that are occurring. Kind of like the same way we created the teenager. But if you ask me, we need to really evaluate what we decide to be okay, because the nonsense is still rampant. You can't really have no trust in a system where you have Congress and folks are getting that amount of support from corporate structures. Everybody, all these public workers are all millionaires. That's not supposed to occur. It's a shame on the American public to just allow that. So this is where insanity comes in. How do you think that somebody's going to represent you when a company could come around and give them $1 million one way or the other through campaign funds, whatever it is, they shouldn't be able to receive it. But they've cleared it. The Congress and those folks have cleared it themselves that it's okay for them to get these monies, and they're not going to be biased. They're going to be able to get this money and still say no to them. That is not happening.
Yeah, that's kind of like
meanwhile, these are
contradictory.
Meanwhile, these are the same folks that will tell we don't want doctors to get pens from the drug companies because the pens might influence their drug writing capabilities.
So a doctor can't even get a pen, but a politician can get $1 million.
Yeah. The doctor may be compromised by the pen, but the politician won't be compromised by $1 million.
So you as a doctor, you're hating a little bit, I see.
You just just have to call out the facts. That's all. It's just
you're not allowed to receive a pen from a pharmaceutical company.
You got a right that you receive the pen, or trinkets. I'm exaggerating, but the threshold is pretty low.
Are they taking that? So they're not taking doctors out on planes and wooing them?
No. Those were in the 90s, and and that was the hate. That's the hate from Congress. That was either the hate from the Congress or the hate from the pharmaceutical companies, because they are both are shaking hand behind the doors, and maybe they felt like they had to woo doctors too much for doctors to even consider them. So now they're like, well, Congress, won't you pass this law so we could, not have to do all this, suggesting to the doctors and making sure having to take them. So now we have to fly them out to an island just so we could talk about our drugs to them. Why don't you put a law so that can't happen? So I see, two things.
Could you have saw yourself on one of those islands, on one of those planes, getting wooed by the pharmaceutical companies?
Most doctors already know what they're going to do. I mean, they'll go for the trip just to go for the trip. And if it's a good drug, they'll use it. If it's not, then they won't. I think the folks that's probably most compromised are the folks who, may be a speaker for that company, and they're going around giving talks for that company over and over again at, whatever, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a pop. Then they're going to be doing the bidding of the drug company.
Let's see what Steve Ladner had to say. Can you read that?
I will accept medical advice from a doctor with a bone through his nose before listening to medical professionals in this day and age. Well, you know what? You might be right. The thing is,
what doctors have bones in the nose? He's talking about like a spiritual guy from one of the Africans and stuff.
Right.
Got the big lip out.
No, but so.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have water or something I can drink? I'm feeling parched right now.
You grab one of those bottles right there.
One of those? Those big bottles right there? Oh snap! I feel happy. Do you want one as well? You have a cup? Or do I get to keep this for myself?
You grab a cup.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like I'm about to cough. Spring water, the good stuff. Thank you. When you live in a nice place, when you could take a glass out of the cabinet and just hand it to someone, you don't have to rinse it off because the roaches were playing around on it. Cheers.
So, Steve said something interesting, and I think that criticism is warranted, because most of, doctors are not the way doctors used to be. The things that we knew in the past is because we did the things ourselves. We went through the process ourselves. We went through the studies ourselves. We did the experiment ourselves. So when we talked about something, it's something that we had intimate knowledge of. Now we've been ushering a new set of physicians who are just repeating what they've been told, and is divorced from the actual knowledge of the information, and that could be hurtful. So all through the process of their training, they're just they are taking info that they're just regurgitating, that they don't really have the firsthand knowledge of the information anymore. So doctors are not scrutinizing the information that they're getting. They're not asking those questions. They're just given information to regurgitate so they could get by.
Right.
So that becomes a problem. So
Like they basically do what they're told.
right, exactly.
This is the
This is
script.
the new age.
This is the new scripts that we're writing. Write
Right.
these scripts for this and this and that. Look, T Rilla just said, "Hey T Rilla, what's up, buddy? How are you?" They pump out. I can't read it from here.
They pump out these kids through medical schools. Wait, what am I saying? I have very little confidence in the doctors coming out of med school these days. As long as you can work, you get your degree. Yeah.
And Steve Nana says,
My
mother
mother was a nurse practitioner, and I completely understand how the medical profession works. Okay. So these, and the doctors themselves are getting undermined because, we talk about these are professional folks who, by all accounts, are very intelligent. But it gets to a point after 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school, 4 years of residency, all throughout that process, you have to have an idea of go along to get along, because you can be dismissed for very subjective reasons, So it creates a very complacent mindset and a non-rock the boat type of demeanor in most doctors, and that creates
women
a
and men.
that's both women and men,
Okay.
So along with that, now we have the introduction of midlife care providers, which are nurse practitioners and physician assistants, and and these are professionals who do a great job with the information that they're given, but we have to understand what's the limit of that education.
They have no pushback.
No.
They
So
don't give any pushback. They just do what they
absolutely
tell.
none at all.
None at all.
Absolutely. And the thing is divorced of even the information that the physicians have, who have very little pushback now. But the thing is, it really drowns out the physician's voice, even if they really wanted to say something, because we are having numbers in the midlife care providers because they could see patients, they could write prescription, and they are waiting to be told, how do we move with this next thing? Some of the older docs, they will say, hey, this, what we're talking about, what they're suggesting that you should do is nonsense. We're not doing that. And that's the power that you have as a physician. But when you have been divorced of your ability to think for yourself and scrutinize things and look at studies and look at if a study is really valid, does it make any sense? A lot of the science that we were told about a couple of years ago, the study themselves were pretty much invalid, and
Tell me what you mean by that.
And well, so for example, if I say a study, this thing works, and I only tried it on 2 people and they did great, that's not a valid study.
Right.
The power of that study is not strong enough. You didn't test enough people to really make that claim. So it's just different little things like that. And there's if you have statistics involved and you're using those means to interpret a study, you could really make it out to be whatever you want to do by playing with the numbers. So you have to have a very astute approach to it to make sure that what you're being told is in fact the case, and it's not there to support somebody's agenda. Most of these studies are conducted by the very same pharmaceutical companies that's trying to sell something. So, and most of the time, that's when something negative comes out against what they're trying to sell, it gets buried. So it takes your doctor, who's going to be very astute and look into these things and decide whether or not he's going to use those things in his practice or not. If you watch most folks are not in the medical field, so you probably won't recognize this trend. But one of the things that you'll commonly see is that everybody who have the most common medical ailments, say diabetes, hypertension, some type of cardiac disease, they have the same list of drugs as everybody else. And every several years, those lists of drugs will change to be something different. But these are kind of the recommendations that are coming out from someplace else. Meanwhile, we have things that have worked perfectly well for years, and then we start to try to twist things. So the main thing.
So the top 10 ailments all seem to have the same damn scripts going on here.
I'll say this. One of the most important things you have to do is to pick a primary care provider that has your best interest in mind, and you picking them is almost like picking somebody that you trust. You trust not just their knowledge, but they have the same life view as you have. Are you a pill popper? Then you might want to go to a doctor who's a pill popper. Most folks are not like that, and you want to really screen your physician to see whether or not you guys are thinking the same way. And
wait. So what do you mean by that? If you're a pill popper, like if a person likes to what, like they like Adderall, or
no, not necessarily that, but we have certain folks who their history of growing up, they've associated every ailment that they have, and they want a medication for it. You'll have patients that comes in, they will literally get mad at you if you say, you know what, you really don't need no medication for this. And I'm one of those type of providers that talks about, our body is the most unique thing that you have, and it could fix itself. If you cut yourself, you leave it alone, it's going to grow a scab, it's going to heal and go about its business. So as a physician, you must really try to stay out the way to allow the body to do what it needs to do. It's in very few occasions that you actually need to do something to help the body out. Most of the other issues that the body is suffering is a result of something that we did, either through the stuff that we ate or something like that, or something that we allowed our body to be exposed to. But that's a whole different conversation on how our agricultural and the things that we allow to be in our food system and processes. So it's when we talk about getting back to Trump, it'll be interesting to see, does he actually use RFK Jr. in a meaningful way? Or was it just, something that sounds good, but at the end of the day, we don't see him in health and human services or in agricultural? If that doesn't happen, the suspicious antenna goes up again. The suspicious antenna went up with Barack Obama when the vice president of Monsanto, which is kind of like the leader in GMO foods, genetically modified foods, and there was a lot of concern about compromising our food sources, and we had a real issue with that. And Obama, if nobody else, really understood the type of controversy that would bring. And out of everybody that was available, he takes this person and makes them the head of the FDA. So these type of move makes...
So the vice president of Monsanto gets to become the head of the FDA for the American people.
Yes.
Thanks, Obama.
So these are the type of things that are kind of like going on. Interestingly enough, we have to kind of see how some of this stuff followed through. But on Trump's end, one of the things that he talked about is coming up with term limits for the congressmen. So in other words, you're not going to have a congressman that's been there for 50 years.
That's just I don't understand how they keep doing this.
So he talked about that. So that's, and I think most people, so these are things that most Americans, should think that's a good thing to like limit that. Because when you have somebody that's in there for 40, 50 years, what do we think is happening? So we should set term limits on those things. Another thing that he talked about is those very same folks, you are barred from holding a public office and then turn around and go work for the very companies that you used to regulate. So you working in the FDA, passing stuff off, or you working in the whatever area, you're not going to do that under the working for the public and then turn around and go work for the same pharmaceutical company that you were supposed to be. And we've done that over and over again. We've had, I used to write this article for this newspaper, and then CDC, she was heading the CDC, and this had to do around certain type of vaccines and so on and so forth. And there was a whistleblower by the name of Williams that came out, and he talked about how some studies were buried, and that and he kind of brought that to light. She kind of like rebuffed a lot of the stuff that he was trying to do, and she later went on to take a position with that same manufacturer for like $2 million a year. So these are shaky and.
Wait, and so did you do like you were writing for what was it you were writing for?
No, I was right. I used to write a health column for the newspaper.
I remember that. I remember that health column.
Yeah.
And in one of your columns, you talked about this person that now is getting $2 million given to him by the same people he was supposed to be doing what again?
That the same people that he was regulating and saying whether or not their stuff was safe or not, and there was question that it was safe, and one of the very scientists that she was working with, called themselves out on the fact that we're not doing right by studies and we're withholding information from the public. This might be dangerous. I think it's dangerous. So his calls.
Someone had a conscience,
right? So, and she tried to rebuff that, try to make it wasn't a nothing. That was a nothing burger. And come to find it, he came with some receipts and those type of things. But it since have been buried. Even though with those receipts and all that type of stuff, they didn't really want to talk about it too much. But she, in fact, went on to go work for that same drug company and at a $2 million a year salary.
And what did they think about this article when you wrote it? What was the response?
No, I mean, the people loved it. But I got to say, I got some pushback from the hospital. So
the hospital, and when you say pushback, they were what was like? Give us a scenario. What happened? Give us something.
One of the interesting things was one particular physician. So this is where it gets interesting because, like I said, you're in an environment where you can get into some issues even subjectively, and any type of allegations could be made against you, like amongst the peers within there. Well, whether or not is this person going to be a good doctor, and so on and so forth. Do we think the person should continue? And it goes on with like a group think. Like, are you saying things that we don't like? Where did you get this from? So this is what's going on. But the information I had, I had to not allow the conversation to be between me and the senior physician, but I said, this is what the data showed. And instead of, talking it out, I print up about like 1,000 of the study and the stuff like that and pass it around to everybody. So everybody was talking about it like, so it opened everybody's eyes. So it was too much for him to rebuff. And he just kind of like walked away and left it all alone.
But you did feel it though.
Yeah. No, they're gonna, and the thing is, I almost felt like if I didn't go that route, it might have turned out to be, it's almost like, I was gonna say this earlier about the election. If there was attempts, or were going to be attempts to do something nefarious in the election, Remember how he talked about the banks too big to fail? This was like a little bit too big to rig, you know. So so this information, this issue that occurred around that time, it became too noticeable for something to happen along my lines, you know. But too much people was aware of it.
You were kind of protecting yourself.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you were making sure that, hey, this is just information I'm just passing along.
Right.
But that's what happens when these things get unburied. Remember they used to have a show called like, there was a really famous show on TV where they were like cold cases. You know, they were like, you know, looking up these old cases and reinvestigating them. You know, these things get pushed under the rug. All these studies and all these things they want to hush hush. You know, it's kind of cool that you were able to. I remember this situation. I remember I used to read all those articles. You see, the doctor, surgeon, the people's doctor, we've been friends a long time. And I remember you would send them to me. You were like, were they PDFs or emails or whatever like that? And they were always very, very good. Short and sweet, you know, like a 20-minute read. And they were excellent. You did like, what, 50 of them, something like that?
Yeah.
Was it a weekly thing or a monthly thing?
Weekly thing.
A weekly thing. Did you ever find, did you ever hold back because of the little pushback you got? That you find yourself saying, I don't know if I want to do.
I did hold back. And the thing is, it got to the point where, you know, the readership was asking for more, but then it was getting tighter and tighter, you know. So it got to a point where it became kind of like a little distraction, because from week to week, folks were waiting, like, you know, what's going to be written this week, you know. So it got. I was like, all right, let me make sure I get out of here. Let me make sure I get out of this residency program.
Wow.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, man, I remember those days with the writing, and that stuff was so cool. It'd be cool if you were able to, like those stuff. Could they get pulled up? Are they still out there?
No, they're still they're out there. They're archived. Matter of fact, I had them all on a thumb drive. I don't know. Remember, it was like, and at some point, I almost kind of like wanted to make, you know, because all those topics are like mainstream. Well, not mainstream topic, but things that, you know, we should know and be well aware of, and had the thought of making each one into like a talk.
Right.
So,
Well, a lot of you guys out here in this internet world, this man here, I've watched him do lectures, and your lectures are pretty damn good with the slide presentations, and you're pressing the button and the slide goes up. And the last one I went to see of yours was that why the black man doesn't trust the doctors. And you just went through like a whole hour and a half of just explaining to all these doctors, why are you going to get pushed back from the black man when they come to your doctor? And you was even saying that the Jamaican man ain't going to give you the same pushback the black American man is going to give you. And the Haitian man ain't going to give you the pushback. And you was breaking down the differences between blacks, Black American FBAs and ADOSs, and you didn't use that terminology back then, but you were basically saying that descendants of slavery here in America, let me explain why they might not be taking their medication that you gave them.
they have good reasons to be skeptical of the medical establishment.
Yes, they have. And let me show you.
The reasons, right?
Click, and it's just, that's when I learned about the guy living in the Bronx Zoo.
Oh yeah,
You taught me that day. I was like, what? There's a man living in the Bronx Zoo that they refuse to let him leave?
Yeah.
The mayor, what was it?
And this was supported by the medical establishment. So what Prime is referring to, we had, I believe he was from Benin, and, you know, small stature man, is like, you know, he was a small guy, you know, 4'11" or something like that. But they put this man into the zoo, and people would come by and see him. And this was a real thing that happened in the U.S. in the Bronx Zoo.
In the Bronx Zoo.
So
and I think the mayor at the time was the same. What's the LaGuardia? Was it LaGuardia, or this is before LaGuardia? Probably.
I don't remember.
But this was like the mayor. I remember you were showing something, and it said how they were asking the mayor, like, why are you cool with this? Like, this is like, the man is not allowed to leave the zoo. And he was like, no, it's for science. This is science, y'all. And this man was in the zoo. He was not allowed to leave the zoo. He was an attraction in the zoo against his will.
That was here.
Here in New York, in the Bronx. Thank you. This guy right here showed me that. And a room full of 100 doctors. That was great. I was like, wow. Oh, man.
There's a lot of things that, we should be embarrassed about on a whole lot of different levels. And this is, really want to put this thing together where we talk about, the pretty lies and ugly truths.
Pretty lies, ugly truths, y'all.
So that's
coming 2025. Doc, the surgeon, the people's doctor. 2025, the
People's Doctor?
no, what's it called again?
Oh, Pretty Lies, Ugly Truth.
Pretty lies and ugly truths. And the medical field has pushed a lot of pretty lies.
And ugly truth. But the thing is, our society is riddled with so much pretty lies and ugly truths. And we spend a lot of times talking about the pretty lies, and but the truth is there, and we should try to seek it out. So that's one of those things that we should really be shameful about on the medical side, and there's many of them. And there's a lot of things that we should be shameful about as a public, because we request change, desire change, want things to be equitable. We want things to be correct. We want things to be righteous. But then we can't create that type of space if we are complacent with things that are completely not righteous. So even if I was on the left, and if I noticed what was going on with then ex-President Trump, it's something that you should call out and say, we're trying to do. You can't try to derail him because you don't like him, and then you can't try to drum up nonsense to try to get him. And now you're walking all those things back, and you look almost kind of a little insane. But at the same time, we have to hold the levers of power.
The people.
The people. It's always been set with you, and I'm a little disappointed because most of the politicians don't really talk about it in a very powerful way to really let the people know that the power lies with them, and a lot of them give tongue-in-cheek cheek service to it. And I think Trump have done that the most of the past recent years. And I think that's why he gets so much traction, because it sounds like he's with that and he understands that. But it is on us to really do away with other nonsense, like, congressmen, presidents, everybody just, taking windfall from these corporations, because what we have is these representatives are not representing you, they're representing the corporations. And that is, and a detriment to you. So these are things that we should start talking about, and having a conversation that becomes so loud that it gotta be addressed.
Like when you gave out those 1,000 pages to everybody that they had to leave you alone.
And that's what we have to do. We have to become because now everybody sit back and let them talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about, and that becomes the national discussion. Whereas you didn't even, you're the national, but you're not the one that's come up with the discussion. They're telling you what the discussion is and what is that you care about. So, so I have, especially now, of course, we don't want to see nobody die. We don't want to see any heartaches around the world and things like that. But I am less interested on what's going on the other side of the world than what's going on right here and what's going on with us. I mean, we have enough stuff to fix before we're sending a disproportionate amount overseas than what we're using to take care of things that we have right here. So these are very clear stuff that's just, it flies in our face, and then somehow we just kind of okay with it. So
yeah, and I think it's also not that we're okay with it, it's that we're the same group of people that won't admit that we voted for Trump. So if you're the same person who won't admit that you voted for Trump, because the proof is you voted for Trump. Let's not play that game. You did not vote for Trump. You got in that booth and you took a deep breath and you went, bing, Trump. You did it. This is the same group of people that are not saying, wait a minute. That's wrong. That's not cool. I saw what just happened with my own two eyes. We have to have some real change. You got to speak up. You got to start believing in the we the people. We the people is a real thing here. Okay, what's this person saying with the question marks? Do you think it is a good plan to stop all drug? What is that?
Advertisement on television. You know, we're
That's a great
one.
question.
We're one of, I think, 2 or 3 countries that advertise drugs, you know, to their nation. The U.S. and I think maybe 1 or 2 others. But by and large, most, you know, first world countries, industrialized countries, do not allow drug companies to, you know, advertise to the public directly.
With that being said, the question is, would you stop it? Or do you think it should stop?
I think it should stop, but at the heart of it, you know, this question was made, is it really moving the needle one way or the other? I'm not sure.
It worked for cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff, taking the cigarette ads out and all that, they took a huge hit.
No, so I mean, we fail to recognize the power of advertisement. So at the end of the day, so I think it's something that we should do, you know, because our focus is not, you know, to talk about ailments and sickness and things like that. Somebody who's actually sick, they'll, you know, seek the help from the doctors and so on, you know, and they'll do that. I don't think it really helps to put that out there on the advertising circuit like that.
And they do it while people are home sick in bed, can't get up, it's late night. I mean, they're just bombarding you with so much advertisement or advertisements wherever you're from. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous, all the stuff. And then they say, ask your doctor. Do you ever find people ask you about something they saw on television?
No, it happens.
It does happen. They are asking their doctor.
They are. You know, I'm just wondering. So it's my experience, but I'm just wondering how widespread it is, and whether or not that's moving the needle. And I'm wondering whether our doctors, you know, prescribing a medication because the patient asked about it. I'm not sure, but.
And here's another thing. This goes true to what you said earlier. These pharmaceutical companies are no longer wooing the doctors. The damn clients are walking in saying, hey, I want this thing I saw on TV. Everybody was playing golf and happy. And I got what they got. I want to be happy. I want to play golf.
Right.
I want to put on my, you know, my dancing shoes like that lady did that day on TV.
You know what? And we probably should stop it. The reason why you know, when you talk about the drug advertisement, it doesn't hit us because we're not suffering with that ailment. But if you can imagine you are actually suffering with an ailment, and then you're given this rosy picture on the big screen about how wonderful somebody is doing with the exact same symptoms you used to have, you might be inclined to say, oh, you know, I want to get that treatment. So
of course.
So it's one of those things that kind of goes hidden because it doesn't really register to you unless it's something that you're dealing with. And if you're not dealing with it, it's just, it didn't even really come up on your radar. It's just another commercial that you don't really care about. But to the person that is going to catch the target group, you know, it does probably have an impact. So
yeah, I can see that. You know, like, because I suffer from gout, so I can see me.
And they had a nice commercial
having a gout attack, can't walk, and all I see is people just dancing with gout. I'll be like, yo, doc, what's going on? They're out here dancing on my TV. Well, I need this. Come on, what's going on? So yeah, I agree. I think it needs to stop. You know, and then it's non-stop. And here's another thing that they're claiming that the mainstream media is so controlled because all of their sponsors are these huge pharmaceutical companies that are constantly using these shows, the news programs to push these, to push these products. You don't see Gucci on TV pushing their product. You don't see, so, you don't need advertisement. If you have a certain product that has a certain standard, then it's going to work. So it just proves that people are just trying to push the garbage on you, or push whatever just got approved. That's why you said, let's see what this guy can do. Can he get in there and stop all this approval, stop all this, let's see what Trump is going to do. Are you going to put this man over there with his raspy voice and his, and his history for politics and his family's history and that whole, that whole thing?
So now, another thing that's been coming along, and folks have really been saying, he's attacking the right of women to choose. And
oh my God!
And that, and the question is
so
that
many
really
women crying on the internet the last 2 days about this.
And I remember I was saying to some folks that that's not what happened. Matter of fact, to a certain extent, he's pulling government out of it, or at least taking the federal government out of it, and saying,
letting all the states rock.
Let the state decide, because the issue have so many varied interests, and your neighbor feels differently than the way you feel. So that means to have one slated opinion to govern the whole country may be a little bit, maybe wrong. So if that's the case, let your own state kind of decide it. So now,
so women are totally wrong.
So it's not that. So and here was a question. So I get into this conversation. Maybe we'll have this conversation here. Maybe we'll have the conversation with you. I think most folks are okay with the idea of, her body, her choice.
Of course.
Okay. So, and the thing is, we'll take it to the extent of, if she feels, this is the way it is now, that this pregnancy will impact her life in a negative way that she's not ready for. She is not emotionally ready for it. She's not financially ready for it. So as a result, she will end this pregnancy because it will influence her life in such a way that she doesn't want. This is in regards to, even if the father wanted the child, he could be there wanting this child, boo-hoo crying. It doesn't matter. She still should have the right, her body, her choice to not go on with this pregnancy. All right, fine. The question is it appropriate for him to be able to exercise the same right? Should a young man be able to say, I am not ready for this child, I'm not emotionally, I'm not financially ready. I don't want this child to impact my life in a way that I don't want it to impact me. As a result, I want to remove myself from the equation, and I don't want to be responsible financially. Would that be fair? That's the question.
I mean, I've heard the question has been raised a lot, since the pandemic. People actually been saying, like, wait a minute, if the mother has so many rights to end the pregnancy. If she decides to keep it, shouldn't he be able to have the same rights to opt out and say, I met you at that party, one thing led to another, things happen. Should I then have to pay for 18 years, 21 years, 26 years for child support? I'm a guy who dealt with the child support thing. $250,000 in child support total. So I know that I don't like. I think I would have had a different life if I didn't have that over my head, because there were times where I would just catch an attitude and I'm just not paying. I would go a whole year, not drop not one dime. And I suffered for it because of my ego. My ego was in the way, and I was just like, I ain't giving her nothing this year, or this week, or this month, whatever. Like, let's say this month. and then I turn around and I owe 51 G's in arrears, and they do compounding interest just like the stock market does. So it can be, you know, for every year it can be, let's say, you know, 7 grand, and now that 7 grand turns into 21 grand because of the compounding interest. And it's like, it would have been nice for me to be able to opt out because the mom didn't want anything to do with me. She just wanted to have the child and just take me to court for child support. And she did everything she could to make sure that it wasn't going to be easy for me. It wasn't like there was like, I never got a phone call for my birthday. I never received any love from the child, and I've even had the child was like, I want to go back home. I want to go back home to my real mother and father, you know, like on the weekends when I would come get the child. So, you know, it was really, really rough. And it would have been nice to have an opportunity to say, you know what? She wants this child. She doesn't want me involved in the child. I'm not paying. You know, I think that the conversation needs to happen, you know, and I think, but, you know, here's the crazy part is that she ran off to have the baby. I went and hired somebody to find out where she was. I'm thinking she's in another state. They call me back in 5 hours. And they're like, I got good news. And I'm like, what's the good news? They say, all you have to pay me is my minimum. I got her address, her workplace. This is where she's at. She's here on Long Island.
She's down the street.
She's down the street. I'm like, oh, okay. So all I had to pay was the minimum. Mm-hmm. You know, something like, you know, I don't know, $500 or something like that. Or, you know, I don't remember what the numbers were, but, you know, then I wound up having a friend serve her some papers, and I took her to court. And I talked to the judge, and I wanted to see my kid, and I thought I was doing the right thing, you know. And I agreed to the child support and all that kind of stuff. I was like, no, yeah, I get it. So, you know, hindsight is 2020. I wish I would have had the option to opt out, but I was the one who was pursuing the, you know, that whole. I put myself in that position, you know, and then. You know, it took me till I'm 50 years old, you know. I was actually trying to talk the doc into helping me get out of debt one time. I said, Doc, can I get 50 grand? I got to get out of debt. Just, you know, it's going crazy. And, but I was able to get out of debt at 50 years old. And it took me a long time. And that was my ego that got me in debt. You know, just like, you know, if this child is not going to show me any love, I'm not going to show him any money. You know, so...
So this is interesting because, you know, it's a real thing that's kind of going on out there. The second part to that is, if that was actually a law on the books, do we think that women would be more choosy on who they decide to sleep with?
Boom, 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 boom.
You know?
Exactly. Would you be sleeping with that cute? They're not even sleeping. They're standing up doing it. They're leaning against the wall at a club doing this thing.
Yeah. So now it becomes it gotta be more than he's cute or you interested in him or he got money. Then it served like, yeah, you really want to be with him, but now you're trying to figure out, you know, are you able to play a real role in his life where he really wants to be with you and so on and so forth? Because there's a lot of guys who, you know, who's gonna be with the person they really want to be with, you know. And as a woman, you get a chance to really to figure out who you want to give yourself up to, and now you probably be a little bit more choosy with that.
Right. Definitely, you'd be a lot more choosy. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I didn't pursue her and find out where she was, I probably could have got away with it for like a decade. Mm-hmm. But there was a part of me that I just felt like, dude, you have a child out there. You cannot just walk away from this. You have to do something. You have to. So there's this thing inside of men that are gonna, no matter what, even if they just met you at a club, even if they just, you know, was only with you for 3 months or 2 weeks, there's this group of men that are gonna just have this desire to do what they feel is the right thing. So they'll pay. They'll sign up for that. And You know, which is a beautiful thing. You see, this is what the new young people that are coming up need to be trying to figure out, need to be trying to legislate. Like, we can't wait for RFK to do it. You know,
No.
we have to talk to our children and tell them about what's going on in the world with men and a lot of the issues that are happening with them. And, you know, hopefully they can try to get into this Congress role and get into this role where they can make change. If not, then how's it going to happen? How's change going to happen? Women have that whole power. It's my body, my choice. And as far as a man's concerned, if he didn't want a baby, he should have had a condom on.
Right.
Instead of the woman saying, maybe I should have had a condom on too, or maybe I should have used some foam. Or I remember back in the day, I used to have it looked like mousse. It was the foam. I would put that on me, and we'd make it happen. Like I had my own contraceptives, you know, that I was just in case I wanted to, you know, skip the condom route. I would, you know, go the foam route, and I would just, you know, let's have some fun. You know, I never had any pushback. It wasn't a secret that I was doing. It was like, you know, it was like, this is a form of contraception.
No, you know, I've asked that question to a number of women, and I think maybe
LJ said laugh out loud.
one or two.
I'm going to show you later, girl. No. Okay.
One or two said no, it would be fair, but the vast majority came with all type of reasonings that really didn't even make sense to say, well, you know, some things are just not fair. No, it should stay that way. So they would come up with a whole lot of different reasons to justify the fact that it's okay. And they'll use things like you just talked about. Well, if he didn't want it, you know, he should have wear protection and so on and so forth.
Right.
You know, and the thing I said, well, if he wants to have the child and she don't, you know, the reverse could be said, well, she was laying down, so she knows she can get pregnant. Now this man wants this child. So, you know, should she be forced to have this child for this man that kind of like wants it, you know? And of course, they kind of say, oh, no.
It's so hard. It's this cold, in this climate, it's going to be, I think it would take a few generations for this to happen.
So this is kind of like, so that's out there. So, but if we can't be, you know, recognize, you know, making it even in that way. And this is the interesting part. If that were to be the case, the only thing that would really change is women being a little bit more picky. Because most guys in that setting, they still want to interact with their child. They still going to want to, you know, see the child. So if a guy actually goes that route, they're saying they're not going to see the child. They're not going to know what's going on with the child. They're not going to have no say-so in the child's life. So there's very few men that would actually go that route unless, you know, she was viewed as a complete tot right from the beginning, right from the jump. That, you know, she was an undesirable person who was just a sex thing, you know. And most women with those things in play, they went and put themselves in that position.
Right.
So now at the end of the day, would that make our community, our society better? You know,
I think so. It definitely make women more responsible who they're choosing, because you're having sex with this guy because, you know, the hairs in the back of your neck stood up when he walked in the room. So what? You want to have a child with this man? You don't know what trauma this man is suffering from, or whether he's going to be, you know, a total douchebag, a horrible father. You know, and it's like, it's kind of sad, but I would love to see some sort of person fighting for this, you know. And I guess the only way to fight, you see, and then this guy RFK that we keep talking about, how you talked about most of the stuff he's been saying for so many years, they just keep pushing him to the background, you know. So, you know, like whoever's going to be speaking for men about their rights and their ability to have choice, whether he has ability to say, no, you can't abort that baby. That baby, me and my family take care of it. Just give up your rights to that child, or I'm not paying.
right.
I want to opt out of paying. You know, it's like, let's see what Steve Ladner says. Does that say? paranoia is more powerful than a
I think
nuclear weapon.
I think he's talking about the women's butterfly. I think he's talking about it's more powerful than a nuclear weapon.
Right.
We call it Pinocha.
I don't know. But let me just say, like I just people, and it's crazy. I remember the day that my my oldest child was conceived. It was during the breakup. We weren't even supposed to be together. And you weren't even supposed to be here. Why are you even here? And she was just like telling my bartender, give him another shot of Cavassier. I was 6-7 shots of Cavassier in. And, and my daughter was conceived on top of some Heinekens. It was like 6 cases of Heinekens. I was like, right here, right now, let's get it popping. In my office in the back. So it's like, what good could have come out from a relationship like that, where you're like on a breakup, So, but we were young, I was 22 years old, 23 years old, something like that. The baby was born when I was 24. I'm 51 now. Finally out of debt. Finally paid up. I'm free. I'm free, y'all. Finally, December 5th, it happened. Well, it happened December 5th, but it took months for all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff. It's a big process, But I'm free. It's cool. She's actually coming by to see my kids tomorrow. She wants to spend some time with her younger siblings. Not with me, She has no, she has no feelings for me, so she says. And it's okay. I always say, just because you don't know me, that's why you don't like me. If you got to know me, you'll love me forever. But, it's like, that's another problem, though. When these women are making these choices to keep these children are getting the only one point of view. Yeah, so it destroys families, Whereas if the father could just opt out, then, every time you saw him, you knew it was a pleasure. It was something that he wanted to do. You would look at it from a different point of view. Anyway, I digress from that. I don't want to, keep rehashing that stuff. But, Doc, I think we had a pretty good show today.
It was.
Premium Black News. Don't forget, you tap the screen twice. Bing, bing, and it gives us the thumbs up. And, we're here, just two guys, known each other since 1994, 1995. Somewhere around that, 1996, somewhere in the mid 90s we met, and look, we're still friends to this day. We had a couple of years we didn't talk for like 3 months, maybe 6 months, nothing crazy, but we maintain a good friendship. And we're here to kind of talk about some of those things, talk about, we have enough life. And, I'm older than him, he has to respect his elders. So, we get to talk about our life experiences. And then you get the perspective of a guy who's been in school the whole time I know him. He just became board certified. What year? This 2024, right? 2024, this guy's board certified. I would call him up. He said, I can't talk. I got to study. He's been saying that for the last 30 years. So, this guy got a lot of experience. Super smart, super experienced in life, traveled, been around. He got his passport with a bunch of stamps in it, So he has a great perspective. And he has a new thing he's going to do with Beautiful Lies and Ugly Truths. Yeah. And that's
Pretty Lies.
Pretty Lies,
Ugly Truths.
Pretty Lies, Ugly Truths. And then I got something else coming out. It's called Body Positivity, Look What It Has Done to Me. That's actually a joke. I'm going to start my street interviews. So tell me what happened. Why are you in that 3X? And then I'm a big guy, so I can get away with talking crap to people like that. Body Positivity, Look What It Has Done to Me, coming in the spring of 2025. So I'm out of here. I'm gonna go do some street interviews, man. All right. And I'm gonna say goodbye to the doc, Dr. Surgeon Duh.
People's doctor.
The People's Doctor. And I'm Big Elvis to Chef Rosenberg. And as always, I love you and I appreciate you. And if you look into the description, you'll find a way to donate. So there's that. And I want you to spend more than 2-3 minutes on this episode. I want you to spend 10-15 minutes watching this. I need the time on and the thumbs up. So double tap the screen for the thumbs up and spend a little time, and then hit the comment section. You could do something like just say, hey, great back and forth, great episode, good show. Doesn't hurt. Leave a comment. Let YouTube know, despite the fact that I used to be this big conspiracy guy, I'm no longer that guy.
And all is good with the world.
All is good. I no longer am that guy that's going to try to convince you that the world that we in is possibly some sort of construct. And the government is going out of their way to have us believe that it is roses and peaches and cream, and it's not. Or they're going out their way to show you that it's horrible and evil, and it's not. I'm no longer going there. It's not necessary.
You got eyes, you got ears, you can see.
It's not my fault that you don't know that tax day is the same exact day that the Titanic went down. School didn't teach you that. I don't have to teach you that anymore. Oh. I think I have some action on the phone. Uh-oh. Got time? I got time, sir. I'm out of here, y'all.
All right.
I love you. Bye.